Anyway, when I grew up, my dad was a multimillionaire. In my 30s, he was. I was already married. I was working in the oil field. I was working on a pulling unit, double, triple, and a single double. And if you ever worked on a pulling unit, you know that's some hard fucking work. You got to wrench rods. You got to fucking. The tubing's the easiest part because you got the tubing tongs that come in, and they break out unless you have to use a 24 and put it down on your own to break every pipe. Most of them have a back off, is what they call them. But my dad was in the steel industry, and he was like third highest boss at Border Steel in like I want to say late 80s, early 90s. My dad was a big boss at Border Steel in El Paso, third highest boss, and he treated the Mexicans real good because they worked hard. He treated them good. That's what my dad was. We grew up on a farm. That's where we worked. If you worked hard, we treated you well because that's what we knew. My dad was a preacher for like 30 years, Southern Baptist preacher. And let me tell you something about my dad. As far as a preacher, I have a lot of fucking problems with preachers, okay? My dad, he got saved, quit drinking, quit smoking a year later, cigarettes. He chewed tobacco for 3 or 4 more years because people bitched in church. He finally quit that. Which I'm like, these motherfuckers going home drinking beer and fucking, you doing all kinds of stupid shit. You know what I mean? But they got a bitch about the preacher. And he's just a human too. But anyway, the deal was, my dad, he couldn't talk in front of people. See, I played in bands. Professionally, I sang, I played guitar. I was used to being in front of crowds, okay? I go in front of a crowd right now. I'm cool with it. I mean, I get a little fucking hyper at first, like, what do you call it? A little bit of oh shit, you call it anxiety. I get a little anxiety first 2 minutes and I'm cool, okay? I preached one time in a church when I was assistant Sunday school director in the Baptist church in Manford, Oklahoma, called, the church is called, oh shit, it's the old ballroom out in the country between Manford and Walton. It's called it is a ballroom. You know, James Money built it. He lived out by us. Okay, I ended up working for him later. James Money, we used to go to his barn. There'd be 5 to 100 to 1,000 people out in the country at this barn. There'd be George Jones or Tammy Wynette, somebody like that out there every fucking weekend. Because back then, country stars weren't playing like coliseums. They were playing hay downs, hay baling festivals, or whatever, because that was their audience. And as kids, we'd hide behind the hay bales and snipe every drink we'd get, beer or whiskey or whatever, and we'd listen to the music. I remember listening to George Jones. He only showed up a couple times because he called No Show Jones, right? He can't show up every time he called No Show Jones. That's the truth. But anyway, George Jones was badass. And he's my favorite to this day. I love heavy metal and I love hard rock, but I love fucking country music. I do. I love it. Anyway, I seen George Jones. I seen Tammy Wynette. I seen some of these other people. And it's like, I didn't know who all these people were. I just knew we was getting a drink behind some bales of hay and we were doing good. There might be 500,000 people at this fucking bar in the country. So we finally opened a ballroom called the Lake Country Ballroom in out in Creek County, Oklahoma, Manford, Oklahoma, about 5 miles outside of Manford, Oklahoma, about 2.5 miles from where I lived in Silver City, Oklahoma, and I lived in dead country. We lived on a farm. Chickens, cows, goats, fucking everything, you name it, horses. We had it. It was a farm. I mean, we mainly focused on pigs. That was our money. We made our money off pigs. Everything else was just The horses were just a ride for pleasure, right? And like my sister, she liked the sheep. She didn't take care of them. I ended up taking care of them. Like I didn't have enough fucking problems already. 4 or 5 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, on school days, and winter especially. I had to go down, break the ice, give them new fucking water, the pigs, and all the animals, and feed them. It took me like an hour and a half to do all that in the morning. Kids don't know what it's like nowadays. Because, nowadays I just get up 7:30. I got to be working at 8:30. Hell, I get up an hour or 45 minutes before, wash up, jump up, and go. Back them days, you didn't do that. You jumped up, you went and took care of all the animals. It took you an hour and a half at least. Because we had quite a few animals. We had over 100 pigs and like seven sows with litters, a couple of fucking boar hogs, and a couple of horses. Not a lot of cattle, like 5, 6 heads of cattle, and a couple of sheep. And I raised chickens and rabbits on my own because I like to eat rabbits. They taste like chicken. They really do. You hear that, but they really do. They're really like domestic chicken. I mean, the wild rabbits don't taste that way, but the domestic ones do taste like chicken. And that's funny because everybody says that, but that's real. They do. It's like the domestic chicken. That's what I would call domestic roast. But here's the deal. It was nonstop, dude, from the time I was like 12 till I was. My dad told me at 10 years old, he said, "You're going to wear the clothes I buy for you unless you get a job and buy your own clothes." So, my grandma worked at the cotton mill in Sand Springs, Oklahoma, and Dad bought the like cheap ass fucking, where they were like defective, thread defective. They sold them for a couple bucks. They were bell bottoms. Everybody says, "Oh, bell bottoms," and they show that 70s show. Oh, they're popular. Man, they weren't fucking popular. We wore them because that's what we could afford, dude. That's just cheapest shit people could afford. Everybody was broke. Nobody had money. There was no middle class. The middle class was broke. The lower class, there was no lower class at that time, unless you count the ghettos, which were limited. They were in New York and Los Angeles. Now you look at the ghettos, they're everywhere. They're in fucking every city. We got more homeless people in Beaumont, Texas than I ever fucking seen in my life anywhere else in my whole life. And that would have never happened when I was young. But anyway, I just skip over that. I went, okay, I want to wear Nikes, Levi 501s, and my shirts. I like those $50 fucking, $70 fucking designer shirts. I mean, not because I was trying to get laid or anything. I just liked it as my taste. Even my grandma, she bought me a $50 freaking shirt for my 17th birthday. And she was like, "My God, it's beautiful, but couldn't you got something cheaper?" I mean, but that's just the way it was. So at 10 years old, I drove a truck in the hayfields. That's how I learned to drive. In the hayfields, I drove. I had to accommodate myself because I was so short. I'm like 5'9" now, and I was like 5'3" then or something. And so I had to, but I was in a hayfield, and I'd fuck with them dudes. I'd speed up and fucking throw them over top, and they'd cuss me. "I'm going to kill you, you son of a bitch." And I'd laugh, But since then, I've got my own. I've got it, I've been paid back. But at that time, I thought, yeah, fuck you. I'm going to live forever. Which we now know that's a lie, right? None of us are going to live forever. But that gave me the money I needed. Back then, I made $200, $250 a week. Just driving in the hayfield was them doing hay bales. Those were little, 2x4 bales of hay. Then they started doing the big round bales after I got older. But by then, I didn't even deal with that anymore. I was already working in a version of Safeway, but it was something else. And mostly I did, in the summer, I did drywall remodeling. And that's where I learned my trade. I started at 13. At 13 years old, my neighbor installed drywall. Summer, he hired me and a buddy down the road. He went to a different school, but we knew each other. Because country schools, man, only had a couple hundred people, some of them. Like all of Oklahoma, that's where he went. I went to Manford. But we knew each other because we knew everybody. Because he only lived a few miles from me. And so I went to work for this dude for summer. And we hung drywall. Well, I call it like installing drywall now, but we call it hanging drywall back then. And 12-foot sheets. 13 years old, we hang a 12-foot sheet on the ceiling, the walls, everything. Nobody does over 8-foot sheet now, believe me, because 8-foot sheet wear your ass out. When you're 13, 14 years old, fucking 12-foot sheet ain't shit. You know, a couple people, bam, bam. But we did it with nails, phosphate nails. We didn't have screws. And we had those, they were just, you know, what do you call it? Anyway, it don't matter. But the deal was, I made $3.50 an hour cash. And my buddy did, hanging that shit, working 40, 50 hours that summer. My God, $3.50 50 hours was like, I made $350, $400 a week cash when I was 14 years old. People didn't make that kind of money back then. I worked my ass off for it, and I made that kind of money. And that was the deal. Anyway, we'll do this in a couple parts. I'm just telling you what I went through, okay? And the point I'm proving here is people nowadays whine too much. You cry too much, they're a bunch of fucking bitches. Back in the day, we were expected to perform, expected to do all that shit, and nobody fucking patted you on the back and said, yeah, good job. I said, fuck. Okay, you did it. That was it. You know. All right, part one's over.